Keith and Adrian here again. We're going to do another lesson from the Manual del Baratero. This one on another one of the named strikes that is kind of controversial because it's not described very well. The Desjarretazo. The Desjarretazo means to debilitate, and the implication from the word root, I've been told, is to hamstring something, hamstring an animal, to debilitate. The manual specifically says that it is a mortal blow, it's a killing blow, and that it says it shows skill on the part of the tirador who can use it. And nowhere in the manual is there really anything said about holding the knife in a reverse position, a reverse grip. But again, if we go back to that illustration from Gustav Dore, where he shows the two guys grappling together, one guy is doing the Viaje, thrust to the abdomen, and the other guy is doing a descending thrust, which I think is a Desjarretazo. And again, James Loriega has interpreted this the same way as I go back and I check some of his books and sources. So it kind of makes sense to me. So how would you get there in that position? In contrast to a lot of the Filipino martial arts where there's this range and we're doing a lot of hubud stuff, that's just probably not going to happen very often. What will happen is we'll come to grips. In other words, he's thrusting to me and I'm thrusting towards him, and we end up here in kind of a struggle, right? That is very common in knife fight. And this will be a topic of another video lesson later, you know, the various things you can do to get out of this, right? But let's just say there's this scenario where we're here and I manage to pop my arm loose. If Adrian backs up, well, I've got him, right? I'm going to be cutting him all day long. So one of the responses Adrian might have, if I pop my arm loose, he's going to come in, right? He's come in here to try to keep me from cutting him. And he's probably headed towards driving me into a wall or doing a takedown or something. So, but my arm is still floating out here. I can stab him, but this is a very weak position. So I have to switch my grip, and right there is my finishing mortal blow that he hopefully didn't expect. And again, it's because we start here, we come to grips, I get this loose, he comes up, and right there it is, right by the shoulder blade, gapping wound to the spine as described in the manual, a killing blow. And it takes skill on my part to be able to quickly flip this blade around and get this position. So that's how I see the Desjarretazo. Now the flip. How do you switch your grip? With these shorter knives, let me use Adrian's because even this length kind of gets in the way. But what is often taught in tactical knife circles, taught by Mr. Keating, is a switch like this, right? Where I pinch the blade, I flip it around, and I switch my grip. Well, this only works with a knife with a short handle. You can imagine if it has a long handle like a Navaja would have, this is not going to pass through my hand and around. So that one won't work. So what James Loriega teaches is you put either one finger or two fingers. I like to use two fingers. But I'm basically throwing my fingers over and gripping the knife this way. That's a nice firm grip where I'm not going to drop it. And then I flip it around. And there's my thrust. So again, my hand is up, I flip two fingers over, flip the knife, I thrust. And when you practice that a little bit, you get where you can do it fairly smoothly. Right? I need to practice it some more. But that's where the skill comes in, to be able to have the just being with the situation enough to know to switch the knife and to be able to do it without dropping it in this high adrenaline, sweaty situation. To be able to flip that knife around would show some pretty good skill on the part of the tirador that's using it. So other situations where you might get there is, again, if we're fighting, we've done something, and Adrian is face down on the ground, right? And I'm going to do a finishing blow, a killing blow. Again, this doesn't have as much leverage as flipping this knife around and finishing him off this way. So that's another time I could see it coming into play. One interpretation could also be the manual mentions that this is done on the heroes, or with the heroes. And remember, the hero was this pivoting, turning footwork. So in this case, I wouldn't need to switch my grip. But let's say we're faced off and Adrian is coming at me, and I do this step off line and try to come and get him from behind. That would take considerable skill, and seems to me harder to pull off and less likely than this idea of just coming to grips and using it in a grappling situation as a finishing blow when the person is bent forward, right? Because if he's bent forward, then this is going to slip right between the ribs and go right in, because I'm not coming down at this angle, I'm coming in at this angle. So that's how I see this one from the manual. Okay.